Hi everyone. I'm coming to you from my loft this time because it's much warmer up here and my husband likes to blast the AC in our tiny little condo. So, in this video, I wanted to do a VR to Heather from Geek Girl Does Tarot. Channel is still pretty new, but I am loving her content so far. She has amazing things to say and I look forward to seeing more from her. So I will leave a link to her channel below. Please check her out. In one of her videos, she answered 20 tarot questions that she saw on Instagram. I will also link that Instagram account below. I don't remember the name, but I don't believe that person has a YouTube channel. They just posted the questions on their account, and Heather decided to make a YouTube video out of them, and it's a great idea, so I thought I would follow in kind. The questions are like get to know you questions in terms of tarot, which I thought would be appropriate given that my channel is pretty new and you all don't know very much about me yet. Question number 1. What was your first tarot deck? Tarot Nouveau, not to be confused with Tarot Muha. Number 2, what made you stick with this deck? I wouldn't say I stuck with it. When I first got that deck back in grad school and quickly fell out of tarot, I still kept that deck, even though I found that for me it wasn't a great learning deck at all. I just thought it was pretty, and it was the same deck that my roommate had. But I kept it all these years until I started back up with tarot last year. But when I decided to do that, I knew that I had to get a different deck, and the Tarot Nouveau was just not going to cut it. So I don't even have that deck anymore. I gave it away. Number 3, how often do you read? Daily. Most days. Number 4, do you read for yourself? Yes. Number 5, do you read in reverse? I used to, but I don't anymore. When I first started learning, I thought that you were supposed to use reversals. And from the beginning, it pissed me off to see reversals in my spread. Not because they were considered like difficult cards or cards in shadow or obstacles, more just the aesthetic. Like I didn't like seeing the upside down cards in my spread. So when I discovered that you in fact did not have to read in reverse, I stopped, and it didn't affect me negatively in the least. My readings were great. What is your least favorite tarot card? So for the majors, the moon and the star. For the minors, 8 of Cups and Queen of Swords. Those are my favorite. And then least favorite would be the Hierophant. Mainly in terms of the traditional depiction of the religious, stuffy, severe figure. I don't have a problem with the actual meaning of the card, and I like decks that diverge from that traditional depiction. So it's just really that image that I don't care for. Number 7, what is your favorite spread? Probably the 3-card spread that is current situation, obstacle, and advice. Number 8, how do you care for your deck? I try to keep it away from my cats, keep it away from my husband because he can sometimes be a walking catastrophe. Keep it away from beverages because I'm a catastrophe. I don't bathe it in moonlight. I don't sprinkle Himalayan salt over it, nothing like that. Sometimes I will place crystals over them, but if I'm being honest, I feel like that's more for the aesthetics than it is for any type of cleansing or anything like that. Number 9. In a reading, what do you get asked the most? Usually romantic questions. Will he ever like me? Why doesn't he like me? Will I ever find the one? What would a tarot deck made by you look like? Either a vampire deck or a fairy tale deck. And the imagery would be like old world traditional imagery, like in the style of, there's this one artist I like. Her name is Virginia Frances Starrett, and she was an American artist illustrator who actually did fairy tale illustrations. I don't know much about her because she passed away pretty young, like 30 or 31, from tuberculosis, so she didn't have a very long life. But yes, my deck would have that style of imagery and also diversity in terms of people of color and body type. Number 11. What is the weirdest thing you have ever been asked? In a reading, I don't think I've been asked anything weird, but I would say the most awkward thing I've been asked is, will I get pregnant again? And so I just rephrased the question and we went from there and it was fine. 12. What is your biggest pet peeve in tarot? The idea that there's a right and a wrong way to practice tarot. Number 13. Do you have any bad tarot habits? I don't think so. I do have a bad oracle card habit. So I don't do this with tarot, but I do this with oracle cards. And that is, if I've pulled a card that I pulled the day before or recently, then I will just pull another card because it's boring. I want something different. Number 14. Do you get hate from skeptics and religious folk? No, not yet. I mean, I guess I have like one foot in the tarot closet in that I think my coworkers don't know, my husband's family doesn't know, but it's not like I'm actively trying to hide it. I just don't feel the need to forcibly bring it up. It's just not a topic of conversation that would come up naturally. So if my husband's family did find out, I don't think it would be a big deal. They are more religious and they are conservative, and maybe a couple of them might have preconceived notions about tarot in terms of devil's work and whatnot. And I'd rather just delay the tedium of that conversation for as long as possible. So, yeah, again, if it doesn't come up organically, I don't feel the need. I'm not hiding anything. I mean, when family comes to visit, like my tarot stuff is right here out in the open. I don't hide it. They rarely come up here, but yeah, it hasn't been a problem for me so far. Number 15, do you have any readings you are proud of? I would say my most recent reading that I did with a friend. They asked me for reading because they were in a raw spot emotionally. And I did a 3-card spread and pulled the Tower, the Hanged Man, and the Devil. And my friend's reaction was, shit, that looks really bad. But we worked the cards together. It was a great conversation, which is usually what I emphasize to all the people that I give readings to, which is that this is a conversation. You are as much a part of the dialogue as I am. And so after that, my friend said that they felt so much better. They felt really encouraged and that they had some concrete advice in terms of action steps. So I thought that was great. I found it rewarding. And it just goes to show that, when you get a spread of that have a lot of difficult uh, cards, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's all going to go to shit. I think that, there's an example that you can, in fact, have a really positive and affirming reading from those kinds of cards. Number 16, has reading changed your perspective? Has reading changed has tarot changed my perspective? Like in terms of life perspective? No. If anything, it's just reasserted my life perspective that we have a say in what happens. We have a say in how situations manifest in our lives. And the answers are either within us or they're within reach if we open ourselves up to the reflection that is needed and the honesty, which tarot can help to provide and help to guide us through. So in that way, it just was more of an affirmation or reaffirmation of what I already believed. Number 17, do you prepare space or ritual before reading? No, I don't have space. This is a tiny condo, and so I will read where I can. It might be on my desk here, it might be in bed, it might be on my dining room table. Number 18, how do you feel about the tarot community? You are all so wonderful. You are all so imaginative and creative and supportive. And I am so happy that I have found this community and that I can share my passion with you. So many thanks to you. Number 19, do you have any advice for your younger self? To my grad school self, yes. Do some homework, and then you will learn that you don't have to do a freaking Celtic spread every single time you pull cards. I am not lying. I'm not kidding you. I did a Celtic spread every single time I did a reading. Because I read in the book that I bought, like the only book I bought, which I didn't even read. It was just like a half-ass skimming. But I got to the section on tarot spreads, and the book had said, practice with this shorter spread, the Celtic spread. And then once you've mastered that, then you can go on to the longer, harder spreads. So it's like, oh, okay. So I need to keep doing this Celtic spread. Okay, Celtic spread. That's what I got to do. So I did that every single time. And I think that's partly why I just gave up on tarot, because it freaking took so long to read. It's ridiculous. And the last question, do you have any advice for novices? Well, I haven't been studying tarot all that long. There are many of you out there that are way more experienced, but I would say that my personal advice would be to first lay down that basic foundation. In other words, whether the system is Rider-Waite or Thoth or Marseille, or if you've purchased a deck that is its own system and doesn't follow any of those others, then read that guidebook. Read up a little on how that system was originally intended, what the meanings of the cards originally were, and then from there, if you want to diverge from that and take liberty in terms of how you practice, then by all means, go for it. But I do think there is something to be said for having that basic knowledge of the original intentions for that system. And then I would say, patience and practice, because it's it takes a while. I mean, at least it did for me. It took some time to really learn everything. And so um, it sometimes can be frustrating that it doesn't click right away. And I think that's just par for the course for many people. And I would just say keep at it, keep at it. Stay patient, keep practicing, and you will get there. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will be seeing you soon. Bye-bye.